Hi guys, welcome to the podcast TimeBomb, and today we're gonna be talking about why I'm really not religious and why I kinda sorta don't believe in God as much anymore. This is a big topic, and honestly, I don't even think a lot of people know this about me and my views and my perspective. And before people go, talking about why I quote unquote say I'm not religious, just listen to the topic and the conversation, and then you guys can make your opinion. So let's just jump right into this because this is definitely a heavy topic. Okay, so first things first, I feel like I have to tell you guys how I grew up and what type of home I grew up in. I did grow up in a religious home. My family did go to church, not every Sunday, but we did go frequently to church. I also did go to a religious school. I went to a Christian school from elementary to middle school. I think it was only like 1 or 2 years that I did not go to a Christian school during that time. But for the most part, I did go to a religious school. I got a religious education, everything along those lines. Then, as I got into high school, I transferred to a Catholic school. For the most part, I mean, there's a couple differences, but for the most part, Catholic school is pretty similar to a Christian school. It's a couple differences, but nothing crazy. So I did go to a school where we learned about God, we learned about other religions, we prayed in the morning, we prayed like during sporting events. I think we prayed over our food, not 100% sure, but we did pray frequently throughout the day. Nothing wrong with that. But the changing point for me, which is when I stopped believing in God, or had this thought at least that I didn't believe in God anymore, was when my mother had passed. It's not the exact day. I think it may have been like 6 months to a year out from my mom passing, when I just started to realize, like, I don't think I believe in God anymore. And I'm gonna talk to you guys about how I felt like this came about. Was when something had happened. I don't even remember exactly what it was, but I realized, like, I haven't prayed since I don't even know how long. I haven't prayed in like months. I haven't even thought about praying. I haven't been to church, haven't looked at any sermons, haven't read any devotional books, haven't had an interest in God whatsoever, like nothing at all. And occasionally, before my mom had passed, let me just say this, like, I would read devotional books here and there. It wasn't like an everyday thing, but I did get like here and there, maybe like once a week or every other week, a couple times throughout the month at least, bare minimum. And then obviously, like I said, I prayed throughout the day. Even when I wasn't in school, I still prayed like at least 2 to 3 times during the day. Okay, cool. So once my mom had passed, though, that never, I had the books with me. I had journals, I had all this stuff, but I never really had interest to go in the drawer and get the book or read, or to even Google anything. Like, it never really interested me. So I remember having like this feeling or thought. I kept it to myself for a long time, but then eventually I went to my aunt and I told her, and I was like, I don't think I believe in God, and she, or anymore. I don't think I'm religious, and I said something along those lines. And when I had told her, she's like, it's 100% okay. Like, everyone has these moments where they're distant from God. If you're not really a fan of God, or you're not really close right now, like, that's fine. Like, that's normal. Like, everyone goes through these like moments or stages in their life where they were super close with God, and they kind of venture off and then they come back. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't really think much of it. But as time goes on and time goes on and time goes on, I really just start thinking, like, wait, I don't think I believe in God. And I think what made me genuinely, like, the second time, think and realize that I don't believe in God is through social media. And social media, and I say this all the time, social media is very deceiving and it's very fake. But when you're on Instagram, you're on YouTube, you're on all these different platforms, and people are saying, oh, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for God, or I wouldn't have the success that I have right now if it wasn't for God, or I wouldn't have been able to buy this home if it wasn't for God. Oh, thank God, like, this is all because of God, whatever, whatever. I just started thinking, like, that is not how I think. I do not think like that. Wow, I don't believe that anymore. Wow, I don't think I got to where I am right now because of God. I think I got to where I am right now because I worked hard, like, type of thing. And that was my mindset. So once I was like 100% sure that, like, I'm not religious, I don't believe in God, I went back to my aunt and told her, like, yeah, I don't believe in God. And I'm 100% certain this time that I do not believe in God. And she had told me that's fine, that's okay. Not everyone believes in God, that's normal. She did tell me though, don't go around telling people that you don't believe in God. Just say you're spiritual. At the time, I didn't really understand what spiritual like meant, but I just said okay, and went on about my day, went on about my life, kept doing me, kept what's called, and I never was the type of person that like judged others or felt some type of way or talked bad to others or talked bad about others because they believed in God or they wanted to pray. Now, if I was at a dinner table with people and the whole table is praying together, obviously I'm going to be respectful for those people and for whatever they believe in and bow my head and close my eyes. But I wasn't really like believing in the prayer they were saying. I wasn't saying the prayer either. I wasn't really like there. I was just kind of like, okay, la di da da, can we hurry up? I'm trying to eat type of thing. So that was how I was. And now that I think about it and I really like started focusing on this, and even when I was putting together this episode, like talking points, I realized like the reason why I don't believe in God anymore is because when my mom first passed, I was very, very angry. I was an angry person. I was angry at everyone, but I was definitely angry at God. And one of the reasons why I was angry at God was because growing up, you're taught God is everything. God, what's the best for you? God will look out for you. God will always make sure you're okay. God this, God that, or God would never do anything to harm you on purpose. Like all these things. But when I take a step back and I look at my life and what it's become, my life is horrible. My life is hell. My mom is not here and I'm in pain. And I was just thinking, like, if God loved me and my family, my mother and my X, Y, and Z so much, why would I be going through this pain? Why would my mother have went through what she went through to not be here no more? Why would my mom have been in pain when she had passed away? Why would I be experiencing the repercussions of something that should have really never happened? Why, once my mom had passed, my life, all these things started happening back to back to back that was just like making the situation worse. Like, why? And that was my mindset. I'm like, if God really loves me, why would he put me through this? Why would he want me to suffer? Why would he want me to not have my mom here when everyone else has their mom? Everyone I grew up with has their mom. Like, why? Like, please make it make sense. And especially when it wasn't like my mom had passed when I was a baby. Like, I grew up with my mom. I knew who my mother was. I knew the type of person she was. I knew the type of personality, how she talked, everything. I was not one of those, like, I'm not trying to be rude, but or not trying to be insensitive, should I say, but I was not one of those kids whose parent passed away when they were a baby. I knew who my mother was, and it was clear. It was very, very clear. My mom had been a part of my life my whole life. So me having built a relationship and a bond with my mother for so long with my life, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. So I got like really, really angry. As time went on, I still was just kind of like, okay, whatever. I kept in the back of my mind though that my aunt told me not to tell nobody that I don't believe in God. Just say I'm spiritual. But as time went on, I realized like I just can't do that. Like I just genuinely don't care. And as time went on, people like, I think people start to figure out, maybe I think I did say something. I think I did say something like, oh, I'm not religious. I don't believe in God. I said something along those lines. I always tell people though I'm not a religious person. That's always what I say. And if they don't push it, I leave it at that. But people took offense to it. People took offense. So how could you? Like, why wouldn't you? People got really, really offended. Like I was targeting their character or something. It was crazy. But what people did not understand, and what people don't understand, is I feel a pain that is indescribable. And everyone that I talk to that has lost someone significantly in their life all say the same thing. The pain that you feel is indescribable. The pain that you feel is so painful. It's a pain that you just gotta live with. It is the worst pain of your life. I can't describe it. But if you know, you know. If you experienced it, you know the pain I'm talking about. It doesn't matter what you do. You can't get rid of the pain. And it's as simple as that. So since I can't get rid of this pain, you just learn to cope with it. And you're just like, or you learn to live your life with the pain a part of you. And this pain, and I always tell people, like, I've already lost I've already experienced the worst pain that I can possibly experience. So whatever happens to me next, I really could care less. Why? Because the pain that I feel now and the pain that I felt when my mom was no longer here, can't nothing top that. And that's the crazy part about it. It can't not my two knee surgeries can't top that. The car accident I got into can't top that. Like nothing can mask the pain that I feel. So people who are getting offended that I say I'm not religious or I don't believe in God, like for what? Like why are we getting mad? And if you know, you know, people who you tell them like, oh, you're going through something hard, or you don't believe in something, the first thing they want to tell you is these cheesy little quotes like, oh, God does everything for a reason, everything has a purpose, everything has an end game. Or the most famous quote is like, what is it? God gives his hardest battles to his strongest like soldiers, or something along those lines. And I really don't believe in any of that. Like, and that's the crazy part about it. Now that like I've really been able to experience a lot of pain and hurt in my life, I'm like, I don't even think that's true. I really don't think that's true. And the reason why I say I don't think that's true is because everyone's life is hard. And let me explain that. Let me go a little deeper into that. When I mean everyone's life is hard, what I'm going through may be hard to me, but it may not be hard to the next, and vice versa. So their perception is their reality. So if they think them getting a divorce, or their parents getting a divorce, or them failing a math test in class, or getting like breaking up with their boyfriends is the worst thing in the world, and it's the hardest thing in the world, who am I to tell you that that's nothing, that's not pain? I can't take that away from anybody. I can't tell someone, oh, that's nothing compared to what I've gone through. I can't, because that's their reality. And since that's their reality, I can't do anything about it. Just how my pain is my reality. My hard days are my reality. And to the next person, it may not be hard. To the next person, from the next person, like looking from the outside, they probably like, oh, that's nothing compared to what I went through growing up, or what I'm going through now. And that's fine. Everyone has their own story. So when people say, oh, you can't walk a mile in my shoes, no one can walk a mile in anybody's shoes, because once you're in that person's shoes, their life is going to seem hard to you, because that is what they're struggling with. That is what their main issue is in their life at that current time, no matter what it is. So when people would say these quotes to me, in my head, I'm like, you don't know my pain. You don't know what I feel on a daily. You don't know what I feel on a weekly, a yearly. You don't know anything. You don't understand the pain that I feel, especially when people still have their parents in their life, or still have their mom in their life, or still have a parent figure in their life. It's like, you don't know my pain, and you will never understand my pain. But when it goes back to, let's go back to the quote that's like, oh, well, everything happens for a reason. In my opinion, I'm like, well, what's the reason? Oh, well, it'll be shown to you in the future. No, what's the reason? Even in the future, I'm like, what's the reason? Even now, what's the reason? Because in my opinion, I would rather go back to the old Diamond and have my mother with me and go through my college life and go through my 20s with my mother by my side than what my life is now. And I'm not talking bad about my life. I do still live a fortunate life, and I still do live a pretty good life. But to have my mother here is totally a different ballgame. So I would rather be the 17-year-old person I was before my mom had passed than the person I am today. And if that means not having this podcast, so be it. If that means not having a YouTube channel, so be it. If that means not living in Miami no more, so be it. If I had to give up all those things to have my mother back, I would do it in a heartbeat. And that's the crazy part about it. So to me, I'm like, what's the purpose? Because no matter how good, or no matter what else happens in my future, it's something always is going to be missing, which is my mother. And it's sad to say, I can't say, because I'm not there yet, but I can't say, well, I'm never going to be happy. But for the most part, it's like I could be happy, but part of me can still be like, dang, I wish my mom was here to see this. Dang, I wish my mom was here to experience these moments with me. Dang, I wish I could call my mom and ask her for advice. Dang, I wish I could tell my mom what happened today at school. Like, no matter what happens in my life, no matter how successful I become, a part of me will always be missing. So with that being said, it's like, well, I'm still not understanding the purpose. So that goes back to what I said on why I was so angry, because I'm like, it doesn't matter what happens in the future to me, I'm always going to be missing something. Something's always going to be broken in my inside of me. And it's like, so no matter what these quotes, so no matter what people say, it's like, sorry, but you don't know my pain, and that's genuinely what it is. And like I said before, the pain is just undescribable, and the pain is so painful. And I've talked to other people about it who have lost loved ones, who have lost parents, and they pretty much all say the same thing. They may not say, oh, well, I don't believe in God. They may have not say that, but they all explain or express to me like how bad the pain feels, or how like nonstop the pain is. And I was just kind of like, okay, how am I going through all this pain that pretty much is never going to go away? And God has his best interest out for me. That to me is what didn't make sense. And it goes back to what I said again. Like, I grew up thinking, oh, God has the best. God would never want you in harm. God would never hurt you. But here I am, and I'm hurting. And that pretty much came about why I said, like, I don't really think I believe in God. I don't really think I don't even think, I know I'm not religious. I know I don't believe in God, because everything that I was taught growing up, it seems like it was a lie. Is it a lie? To me, yes. To others, probably not. I don't know. That's for whoever's listening to decide. But for me, it seems like it was all a lie. And to me, it made me even more angry, because it's like, in my opinion, I'm not perfect in no way. I don't think anybody's perfect. But I've done the best I could growing up. I went to church. I tried to be good. I tried to respect my parents. I prayed. I went to religion school. Like, in my opinion, like, I've done the best that I could. My mom tried to set me up the best I could. And yet again, it's like that wasn't good enough, because my mom still wasn't here. And yes, I understand everyone else has a start and an end date in this world. And I understand that. But at the end of the day, it's like, I understand that. But at the end of the day, it still hurts. It still hurts to not have your mom here and lose your mom at such a young age. And my mother was young. So it's like that's what I can't wrap my head around. So when people get offended, I kind of just let them get offended, and that's okay. But I also feel like we as humans need to stop being so judgmental to people, because I don't judge people who believe in God, who don't believe in God, who believe in this, who believe in that. Like, I don't judge. And like I said this before, I'm a respectful person. If we at the dinner table and everybody else praying, I'm gonna be respectful, bow my head, and keep it pushing. But I'm not judging them for believing in God, because everyone has their own reason for not believing in God and in believing in God. So I feel like we just need to stop being so judgmental, because everything everyone does helps them, and it's what's best for them. And maybe being religious is not what's best for me. Maybe I don't need to be religious right now. Maybe I'll never be religious again. But I feel like being judgmental to people who don't have the same beliefs as you is really a bad trait to have. I feel like it shuts you off, because it's like, you're not going to come in contact with different people. And the crazy thing is, I've came in contact with so many different people who have so many different beliefs. And to me, it's so interesting to understand why they believe what they believe. And it's so crazy how much of our experiences, or how many things, like what we have done, play off of what we believe. And if you believe in God, great. If you don't, great. And it's just really just becoming accepting. And I think that's one of the major things I've learned. It's just becoming accepting of everyone. Don't judge people off, what they believe in, how they look, anything like that. Like, get to know them. Because I may not be religious, I may not believe in God, but if you ask me, I'm a pretty cool person to hang out with. I'm just saying. But same thing for other people. Like, I met people who do believe in God, and we're cool. We're besties. We're friends. We go out to eat. We hang out. Like, I talk to them. I text them. And I know other people who don't believe in God, and it's the same type of relationship. So I definitely do think religion is a personal preference. And a personal preference in the sense that some people go to church every day. Some people only read the Bible. Some people only pray. Shoot, some people only pray when they need something and life is going bad for them. But that's who they are, and that's how they that's what they do with their religion. And then there's other people who don't do anything, like me. I don't do anything. And that's fine. And I feel like with that being said, it's like we just all need to be more like understanding to people. We need to be more friendly to people. And I understand this is like a harsh world and a cruel world and a mean world to live in right now, and a very like evil world to live in. But if you just being accepting to someone or just understanding them, even if you don't believe them or don't agree with what they're doing at the end of the day after you heard them out, that's fine. You just disagree. That's okay. I disagree with a lot of people. I'm still friends with them. It's not the end of the world. It's okay. So now the final question: do I see myself being religious or believing in God in the future? Where do I stand right now with my relationship with God? Or where do I stand right now with my relationship with being religious? Personally, right now, I am not religious. I don't really believe in God. I'm not an atheist. I do believe that there is something higher, which is why my aunt just tells me to tell people I'm spiritual. Why she told me to start telling people I'm spiritual. But I don't believe in God. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Catholic. I don't believe in God, and that's fine. I am not really a religious person either. That's fine too. Now in the future, I don't know. I don't know where I would be in the future actually. And I say this all the time, but I won't say never because you just never know. Life changes. Life changes all the time. Life changes extremely fast. So I won't say never. I may be religious or may believe in God 5+ years from now. Maybe next month, maybe next year. I don't know. But right now, currently, Diamond, who is in 2022, does not believe in God and is not religious. And like I said before, I gotta say this to emphasize this. I am not an atheist whatsoever. I just right now I'm just going with life, seeing where life takes me. Like I said, I am a spiritual person. I do believe in something higher. I just don't know what it is. But I'm just going through life and I'm just experiencing life and just seeing where life takes me. And that's fine. And wherever it takes me is where it takes me. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I'm so glad to have finally actually like said this and announced this to people. Not even announced it, but just like talked about it, because no one really knows, where I stand in religion or with God besides my aunt, which is crazy to me. Like only she knows, which is one person. So I'm super glad that I was able to get this off my chest. And if some of you guys understand where I'm coming from, or some of you guys feel that you're in the same place that I am right now or the same boat, that's fine. If you're not, that's fine too. I accept everybody. I love to be friends with everybody and love everybody. But that is all for today's episode, guys. If you guys want to follow the podcast on Instagram, you guys can follow the podcast at TimeBomb Podcast on Instagram. I'll say it again for you guys. You guys can follow the podcast on Instagram at TimeBomb Podcast. But that's all today, guys. I'll see you guys next Sunday. Bye, guys.